Good morning. I'm sorry I don't have in-gathering music, so listen to the song in your heart and calm down and focus. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm that no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad you're with us. If you're visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book and stick around for lemonade, snacks, and conversation after service. Members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. I'm Elizabeth Piskorski. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm pleased to be with you today. Our worship associate is Tony Meadors. We are in summer services mode. I'm sorry we're not outside today. It was really, really muddy, and I didn't want our chairs to sink as the service went on. So all of the services until late August are created and led by the UCH worship team. We'd like to thank you for placing your phone in worship mode, but do feel free to check in on social media and let folks know that you're worshiping here today. For RE this summer, I do think the RE students are meeting. Are they outside? Or no, not today? No, not today. Usually there's a robust RE program, but today we have an all ages service.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm Tony Meadors. My pronouns are he, him. There's always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in that's it, you got it. Which arrives in your inbox every Friday. Yep. Boy, you guys are sharp. And there are printed copies available somewhere. In the back. In the back. Okay, maybe downstairs. And if you would like to receive news and notes, please see the hospitality person at the table. That would be Darren today. We acknowledge that we in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are traditional territories of indigenous people. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and also work to repair the harm.
As I call you to worship today, I do offer a warning that this post-4th of July service might be a little bit unpatriotic. I hope I don't offend too many of you, but mainly I hope that we find this service useful in navigating how we can embody our UU values to maintain hope in a time when we see so much suffering in a country whose government and people have at so many times been responsible for the suffering of others. May we find hope together, breathe together, and move throughout the world as UUs who recognize history's truths and yet remain hopeful for the future. I invite Tony up for our chalice lady.
Our chalice lighting words are by Eric Walker Wickstrom. Here today, in this place, with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way.
Our opening song is number 131. And I invite Matt Brown up to lead us in song. Please rise and body your spirit if you feel like it.
So we don't have a piano today. So what I'm going to do is sing the first line of the song and then invite you all to join me for the rest of it. But I'm not going to sing in this mic too loud. Love will guide us, peace has guided us,
Thank you for putting up with no piano. That was awesome. We support this church in many ways by bringing our diverse and enriching talents and care to this space and to each other, but also in very practical terms, including by offering financial support so that we can meet in this lovely space. Please join me in saying our offertory words together. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with all the world. We enter this space bringing with us joys, concerns, challenges, and blessings. If you have a joy or sorrow, you can come up and drop a stone in the bowl and share, but joys and sorrows may also be dropped in silence.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan. I had the pleasure of visiting the Obama Center last weekend. And I just want to tell everybody, if you haven't been there yet, it really embodies hope. One of the magnificent things about it is that there's a very natural connection into Jackson Park. Jackson Park is probably an area that most of us have not visited before, so that really helps. There's a great playground for kids, and the turf is spongy in case they fall off anything. There's a basketball court which doubles as a convention center. And probably the most exciting thing is up on the 9th floor of the building itself. You have a magnificent view of really all of Chicago. And it's free to see all these things. You can pay more if you want to see, you know, the Situation Room and those kind of things. But it's definitely worth a visit, especially in the summer.
Hi, I just wanted to let everybody know I saw Karen Janowski on Friday. She's doing really well. She's hoping she'll be able to be back at services in another 4 to 6 weeks, ideally.
Hi, I'm Kathy. Some of you may know my sister. She plays with the Boston Pops. They play out on the Esplanade for the 4th of July every year. Excuse me. And last night, Keith Lockhart, who's their long-term conductor, made a comment about the BSO, or the Boston Pops, playing in space. And when they did Stars and Stripes, the John Philip Sousa March, they actually had a woman on the International Space Station playing the piccolo with them. So that was a really uplifting moment. So.
Good morning, my name's James. I thought on this weekend where we celebrate the founding of our democracy, really, you might want to check out a speech that was published on YouTube yesterday by Mayor Mamdani. All of you know is the new mayor of New York City. And it's a fabulous speech. It's 14 minutes long, and about halfway through, I found myself sitting on a chair on a balcony yesterday morning and just sobbing, because it's so hopeful, it's so inspiring, and I encourage you to all watch it. It will make you smile and maybe even make you cry. So that's a great joy that I have today that I'd like to share with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leo. I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm almost done with my modern day All in the Family play that I'm writing for the play readers. And I think Darren wants to perform it sometime next month or so. Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elizabeth's brother. My name's Charles. I'm joyful to be here today supporting her. And I'm joyful to be here with my fiance and hopeful for the future as we navigate this chaotic world together and recognizing the challenges that has, but still looking for the hope in a better future.
All right, I'm going to drop a couple pebbles for our UCH members who are not here today and all those suffering around the world.
For part of the service, I was asked to do a reading. It's going to be kind of hybrid because the subject I found fascinated me, and I thought it would be a fit, and Elizabeth agreed. So I'm excited to share this with you. The 10 Tactics of Fascism by Jason Stanley. He's part of a thing called Big Think. There's stuff that I'm going to read, but I'm going to tell you that when I get to the 10 Tactics of Fascism, you can check this out on YouTube at Big Think. So, because I couldn't go into all that detail, but here we go. Jason Stanley is the Jacob Urowski Professor of Philosophy at Yale University. Fascism is a cult of the leader who promises national restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by immigrants, leftists, liberals, minorities, homosexuals, women, certainly the list could go on. In the face of what the fascist leader says is a takeover of the country's media, cultural institutions, and schools by these forces. Fascist movements typically, though not inevitably, invariably, rest on an urban-rural divide. The cities are where there's decadence and where the elites congregate, where there's immigrants, and where there's criminality. Each of these individuals alone is not in and of itself fascist, but you have to worry when they're all grouped together, seeing the other as less than. Those moments are the times when societies need to worry about fascism. Sounds like right about now. And so here are the 10 tactics of fascism, according to Jason Stanley. The mythic past. Okay? Our prior greatness has been taken from us. You know, let's get back to those good old days when, well, I'll go on. Propaganda kind of leads back to the mythic past. When they in charge subverts the nation. So using propaganda. That's number 2, propaganda. Anti-intellectualism. The leader sets the true-false perspective. Remember, only he can fix it. Okay? 4, unreality. Lies displace political equity. Number 5, hierarchy. Big lies at the center of things. Racial or religious superiority. 6, victimhood. The dominant group becomes victim. Whites victims to blacks. Men victims to feminists, and on and on. 7, law and order structures who's legitimate and who's not. I think we've seen some of that going on, especially around the immigration issue. Sexual anxiety. Build hysteria. The LGBTQ+, they aren't after equality, they're after your family. They're coming for your children. Not really. Number 9, Sodom and Gomorrah, kind of alludes to the cities, or that bastion of decadence and sin and whatnot. Okay. And the 10th one, Arbeit macht free, the hard work will set you free, kind of perpetuating some myth that the minority folk are lazy, make them work, and as we know from the Hitler time, if you weren't able to work, you had no value. You know, a lot of folks ended up in concentration camps were the physically and mentally disabled folks. But they don't work, they're of no value. Let's lock them up. So I encourage you to check that out at YouTube at Big Think, the 10 Tactics of Fascism.
All right. So cheerful today, I know. I'm afraid that I will only be more cheerful. Okay. I have never been a very patriotic person, but this 4th of July, I had a really difficult time finding it within myself to be happy to be American. On the 250th anniversary of the country's founding, I do think there's a wound that we must reckon with, as many of us face this feeling of resentment. This country was founded on oppression. It seems at times that there are too many traumas to name, and I know that we're all deeply familiar with the pain of the country's founding. With each new age, new injuries were incurred. I'd like us to take a moment to think about what wrongs come to mind and what wounds particularly strike you about our history as Americans. When we think about the European founding of this country, because that's what it is, if we recognize it as only existing for 250 years, that is in of itself a perpetuation of the white supremacy that this country was founded on. What hurts you? Let's breathe for a minute, sit with it. It's hard to look back on each era and not see the through line of US fascism. If not in outright governmental practice, at least in ideology. There's the pressure of a status quo, the development and then condemnation and punishment of an other, the glorification of the military. And throughout each era, we see the suffering of those others at the hand of the dominant social group. So this could be a really depressing service, but before it goes too far, let's take a breath. Let's see the evils of the past and the present. And let's drop them in the collective bowl of understanding, that joys and sorrows bowl that we hold in our minds. And let's move towards what that means for us now. Today I want to talk about radical imagination. Our summer service theme is a canopy of care, a community of safety and spiritual grounding, fostering radical imagination to live UU values. So what is radical imagination? To me, this phrase means understanding that things are not working, but knowing that they can, and that we can think of a world that's better. The radical piece comes from understanding that the future does not need to be shaped the same way as the past or the present. Instead of simply addressing concerns, radical imagination seeks to redesign the systems that generate issues. Many might dismiss these ideas as idealist or impossible, but I argue that it's the opposite. Radical imagination understands that there are forces in power, in our schools, and our governments and our media, these systems have convinced us that we live in a world with limited choices, but it's not so. As I was thinking about radical imagination, I thought of the people in the past who give me the strength to imagine. I'm really glad that someone brought up Mamdani, because I know for a lot of us, he's a figure that lends us access to that radical imagination today. I bitterly and even spitefully tried to create a list of Americans who were not confined to a predetermined path. In this way, history can be a sort of brace for our wound. It's not a salve, because that would mean that the wound is fully healed and we don't need to tend to it anymore. But with the history in place, our muscles for imagination can begin to strengthen. Those thinkers who came before us can help with this. For me, some of the history makers that I think of when I think of radical imagination are Frederick Douglass, Cesar Chavez, Fred Hampton. I'm sure you have others that lend you access to your imagination. As I thought of those history makers, I also thought of those quiet ones who give me strength. The writers who lend me their words to grow my imagination. Toni Morrison, Octavia Butler, James Baldwin. It's maybe the writers showing me the way that the world can be, not only in the future, but in the present for all those around me, that I gain the most understanding that my reality is not the only acceptable one. By reading about others, I see the ways that the world is different. People choose all the time to live different lives. And even as I look around this church, I see people who have discarded the status quo in exchange for the lives that they imagined for themselves. So let's gather ourselves. We're tired, and the sorrows in our joys and sorrows bowl push the water close to overflowing, and the radical imagination seems far away. How do we access it? I do it by living the life I imagine for myself each day. Do you ever have thoughts that rise up in your mind about how life is supposed to look? It's when we hear that voice that tells us we can't do something because it isn't the way it's done that we let fascism grow. Unitarian Universalists are quite an open-minded group of people. But even for those who are open-minded, we can fall upon the crutch of our biases. It's not a criticism, it's totally normal. Every person on earth does it. My call is not to completely discard all of our convictions, but I want you to notice them. Has anyone done the mindfulness activity where you picture your thoughts like fish in your brain? Let's try that, but with our biases and our understandings about the world. When we do this, we can begin the unlearning. Sometimes when I see something I really don't like or don't understand, I can feel my entire body tense up. My mom calls it being prickly. But I imagine it like when my dog saw another dog that he didn't like and his hackles would stand up. Sometimes we need the hackles because they're telling us something is seriously wrong. But sometimes they go up from forces we don't realize. Those realms of influence all around us like air, the media, our education, our government. Many of us were educated in America, and so those forces do influence us and are a way of propaganda. So let's examine them. Don't fall into the routine. Trust your hackles, yes, but evaluate them as well. Where do they come from? Who told you the way that life is supposed to look? And when someone decides to do it differently, I want you to ask yourself who is telling you that they should not. Is the voice inside you from you, or has it been put there by the structures that confine us to how things are instead of how they can be? If you're anything like me, you might be thinking, well, I already do that. But I can promise you that there are pressure points in your life that do make those hackles go up. Maybe they even go up when some young person from your church tells you that America has never been great. Even if they're well-intentioned, these hackles can be limits for us. This is not something that only those other people do. This is all of us. When we're comfortable, which many of us in this congregation are lucky enough to be, we can allow ourselves to slip more easily into the biases that we were given by those systems all around us, those American systems. This is when we stop questioning and we even stop unlearning. But our values tell us that unlearning must never stop. When we unlearn, we are able to access the radical imagination. So, my dear fellow UUs, let's cast aside our guardrails that the biases we have give us and start dreaming up a different future for America. We will not let the systems of power dictate our beliefs for us. We have to imagine something not yet done. It's only through imagining that hope can grow, because the future can be something entirely different and just for all for once. It can be new. For this next song, you might have heard it before. If you feel called to sing along, you are more than welcome to. But this is a song that I listen to when I need access to my radical imagination.
Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world.
Guys, you stand up. We are building a new way. We are building a new way.
Thank you so much for that, everyone. Our closing words are by Robert Kaufman. We have come together to share our deepest concerns, speaking and singing words of inspiration and hope, and we have committed ourselves to do what we can to ease the burdens of those who suffer, to stand for decency and compassion. We have pledged to work for a more wholesome environment for us and for all the generations that will follow. But these are just words. The hymns we sing are just songs, and all our reflections are just idle thoughts. When we convert them all into a loving and responsible action throughout the week, then and only then will this morning become what we want it to be, a time for worship. I have one more song for you all.